What goes up must come down. A ball thrown upwards slows down and after a stationary peak begins to travel downwards. A hand provides energy to the ball and allows it to move to a certain height. If more energy is provided to the ball goes higher. The ball is given energy only whilst the hand is in contact. After this, the major influence on the ball is the gravitational force between the ball and earth. Having left the hand, regardless of energy provided, the ball is said to be freely falling, assuming no resistance from air molecules.
A dropped ball, one that has been given no extra energy by hand, falls in a similar manner to a ball provided with some initial energy after its peak height has been reached. The ball goes faster and faster the longer it falls, so the higher a ball is thrown, the faster it is moving when it reaches the ground. Throwing a ball in the air, it takes more effort to throw the ball higher, and when the ball is caught, the impact is harder than that from a ball that peaks lower. Balls are convenient shapes to fit into the hand. The choice of balls affects juggling practice. Tennis balls and ping pong balls bounce very easily away from you and may be difficult to collect. To prevent this, either the balls or the surface from which they bounce can be changed to absorb the energy generated by falling balls. Once the action of juggling is established, other objects can be substituted for balls, but actions will need to be altered to compensate for different masses and shapes. Objects to juggle can be made from household items such as socks, balloons, and cloth. In each case, a filling is required, which is easier to insert if it is wrapped in cling wrap. Fillings should not deteriorate over time, and cereal grains like lentils or corn may be used. I prepared a sock and a beanbag filled with beanbag beans and sewed them closed. Objects with beanbag beans packed inside them work better if the beans are slightly compressed after the object is sewn closed. Without this compression, the sock or beanbag bounces within the hand and is harder to catch. Rice filling encased within 2 balloons are excellent items for juggling. The balloons are the same colour with their stems removed. They usually deform after hitting the ground.
Learning to juggle is a slow process which requires the ability to perform one task before proceeding with a more difficult task. Each task builds on the previous one, and gradually more complex tasks can be achieved. One of the first moves to learn is the scoop throw. One hand moves from its starting position, lifted from the side of the body, in a circular swinging motion around in front of the stomach. The ball is forced up towards a peak and drops into the other hand that has been lifted from its side of the body. This move can be repeated in the other direction with the other hand. The higher the ball is thrown, the longer before it can be caught. The path that the ball takes is called a parabola, and the angle thrown must be steeper to catch later.
When juggling 2 balls, the second hand throws very soon after the first hand performs its move. The second ball is thrown to the same height as the first ball, using the scoop throw with the other hand. After practicing throwing balls starting with one hand, try starting with the other hand. If a ball is thrown too far, let it drop rather than lurching to reach the ball. Maintaining posture during juggling is important, and given practice, both balls are thrown correctly. Aim to watch the balls at their flight peak rather than the positions of hands. 2 balls may also be juggled using a single hand. It is easier to juggle with a dominant than a non-dominant hand. More practice is needed using the non-dominant hand. After practicing with one part of the body, it is easier to learn to perform an action with another part of the body. The 2 types of juggling with one hand are columnar and showers, which may be clockwise or anti-clockwise. Columns are thrown straight up in the air, and the hand is moved between throws. The other ball is thrown as soon as one ball reaches its flight peak. Showers require that each ball take the same parabolic path and is caught in a position different from where it is thrown. Three-ball juggling is an extension of two-ball, two-handed juggling. The third ball is added to the hand that first throws a ball, and only one of those balls may be thrown at first. The balls may either be side by side, or with one ball in the palm of the hand and the other on the fingers. The thumb may be over the palm ball, or the muscles of the hand clenched to prevent its initial movement from the hand. Initially, only one cycle of three-ball juggling will be managed, but this will improve with time, making a conscious effort to throw the ball that is in the hand under the ball at its flight peak.
I was able to juggle 3 balls reasonably well within a period of about 10 hours. 4-ball juggling builds on the ability to juggle 2 balls each in a single hand. The balls are thrown on each side of the body and caught at the same time. They must be thrown to the same height. Juggling more than 3 balls seems a daunting task without more information. 5-ball juggling builds upon 3-ball juggling, but height and angle of the throw must be adjusted to ensure the same catching and throwing reaction times. How high do 5 balls need to be thrown to maintain the movements that someone juggling 3 balls experiences?
To determine the relationship between the height a ball is thrown and the time before it is caught, I created a 4-meter high board with the intention of using a video camera to record the height to which balls were thrown. I made some electronic gloves that registered when an aluminium foil coated ball was in the hand by making use of 3 volts provided by 2 AA batteries across an 100 ohm resistor and a red light emitting diode. I then threw the ball to various heights represented on the board and recorded the frames of video and heights where the ball left the glove, reached its peak, and when the ball returned to the glove. I used PAL video, which is a standard that records 25 frames per second. Each frame persists for 40 milliseconds. I used 2 video cameras, one directed at the throw and the other directed where I intended peak of the throw to be. Music in the background was used to synchronize the recordings when they were compiled on a split screen. I noticed an error in synchronization between the 2 video cameras such that frames were not recorded at the same time. Another error occurred when the ball was not thrown as close as possible to the board. The camera directed at a board measures the ball most accurately when it is at the center of its scope. When the ball is higher or lower than this point, the mark on the board that it correlates with is higher or lower respectively than a more accurate reading. This is known as parallax error. The results using the glove were only useful for getting an idea of the differences between the position that the ball was thrown and caught. I then recorded the ball's height within individual frames during throws. I took these readings at peaks around 285 centimeters and 385 centimeters. The graphs of these positions with time created similar symmetrical parabolic shapes, suggesting that either side of the peak, the ball is moving the same vertical displacement from the peak with time. The time between release and the catch of 5 balls can be calculated by moving the parabola higher and toward the right until time is 1 2/3 times the initial value. I usually throw up to 200 centimeters from 125 centimeters. Shifting the parabola so that it starts at 125 centimeters and the peak is at 200 centimeters, from 0.78 seconds to 1.3 seconds. I multiply the time by 1 2/3 and upon moving the graph find that the peak now reaches 333 centimeters.
Juggling is easier than it looks, but it requires concentration and coordination. Describing this motion requires an understanding of gravity and the amount of effort to throw a ball and catch it. The action of juggling starts by throwing one ball. Building upon this skill can lead to mastery of an entertaining talent.